Hello everyone. Welcome to this online training module on occupational therapy intervention in COVID-19 arranged by All India Occupational Therapists Association. The COVID-19 pandemic has posed an enormous risk of survival for people all across the globe, and all countries, big or small, are trying their level best to manage this situation and to come out of this acute crisis. What is the aim of this course? The purpose of this module is to establish a nationwide coordination and support network for all occupational therapists across the country, to equip occupational therapists with the latest technicalities and details regarding the occupational therapeutic management of COVID-19, to ensure that there is a nationwide consensus about the role that occupational therapists have to play during the pandemic, depending upon the kind of setup they are working in. What are the learning objectives of this course? By the end of this course, you should be able to identify areas of focus that needs to be taken care of during the management of COVID-19, to choose and establish a significant role as a part of the multidisciplinary COVID-19 team, to develop specific client-centered occupational therapy protocol for management of conditions occurring as a result of direct or indirect effect of COVID-19. COVID-19 has affected all of us. It has changed our daily routines. It has interrupted our lifestyles. It has interrupted our office works, and it has also interrupted our financial and future plans. Because of the lockdown that was announced subsequent to the onset of this pandemic, most of us today are confined within our homes, and we are unable to perform our daily routines, and not even we are allowed to continue with our leisure routines which require an outdoor access. Because of this, the entire way our life used to go on has come to a change, and adjustment to this change scenario is difficult for all of us. Whatever we try and do, it is very difficult to maintain our financial and future plans, because all of them are interrupted, and we might not be able to continue with them at the same pace as we had planned earlier. Most of us have our own concerns. For some people, availability of daily needs is a cause of concern. To some of us, it might look as it is not something very significant, but imagine a household where there is a small kid or where there are elderly people. For them, availability of milk and medicine would be a priority. For some people, the problem of unemployment is huge, and for others who are employed still have to worry whether or not they will be getting their complete salary at the end of the month. There are persons who are already infected with COVID-19, so they are worried about their own survival. They may or may not survive, and at the same time, they are also worried that they might knowingly or unknowingly transmit the infection to their near and dear ones. Problems are being faced by caregivers of children with special needs who are not able to get the regular therapy services they were taking for so many years, and which help them to cope up with the delay that they had earlier. There are also elderly who have to face a hard time because of lack of any domestic or social help. People who are getting cured by the COVID infection still have to face lot of stigma and rejection when they try to re-enter their own living spaces. There are people who are finding it very difficult to cope up with the sudden changes, and they might even take extreme steps like committing suicide. Not only this, what has complicated the condition is that still most of us don't know when all this is going to end. How long we are worried that how long will I escape from being infected? Everyone has got the same issue. We get to know today that more than 80% of cases being reported in our country are those of asymptomatic individuals. So it is quite possible that we might be easily getting infected even if the person in front of us is completely asymptomatic. There is also worry and concern about the survival. Also, how life would be after the lockdown period is over, and what would be the new normal for us. How can we get back to our old routines? So all these concerns have led to an increased amount of stress, anxiety, familial discord, sleep cycle disruption, lack of physical activity, overburdened household routines, excessive screen time, and complaints of pain and lethargy. Now, it is very common to read about news related to domestic abuse, which is on the rise all across the globe. Also, sole parents are dealing with a lot of stress in managing their kids and their family members. Coronavirus lockdown has also triggered lots of socio-cultural and gender conflicts at home, and also there are increased incidences of marital discord, and divorce rates are at peak than that as they were before the onset of the lockdown and the subsequent pandemic. Why occupational therapy services are needed for the management of COVID-19? Occupational therapists specifically deal with remedial, restorative treatment and rehabilitation of persons with physical, cognitive, psychosocial, and developmental impairments. As a profession, we recognize the consequences and changes that are occurring in how people access and undertake their occupations as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. It is very obvious now that most of us are unable to meet our occupational demands because of the pandemic situation and the subsequent lockdown that has been extended across us. And these includes but are not limited to accessing resources, being able to do activities of our daily living, communication, mobility, social isolation, displacement, issues with mental health and well-being. Occupational therapists understand the vital need to access and use infection control measures combined with the need to sustain good physical, psychological, mental health, and stamina in order to stay safe and healthy. Therefore, not only in this acute phase of COVID pandemic, but also once this acute phase is over, the role of occupational therapy is going to be of key concern in healthcare services in coming times for all the survivors of COVID infection also. Occupational therapy intervention will differ depending upon practice settings and target groups. All across the country, occupational therapists are working in different kind of setups. Few are working in hospital setups. Some have their own clinics or work in pure rehabilitation institutions. Some are at administrative positions in various institutions, and some work with certain NGOs, and others are faculties at universities and colleges. So accordingly, their expected roles in the management of COVID-19 would also change. Those who are essential service providers and mostly working in hospital setups will have to provide remedial and restorative care. Those who are running their clinics and rehabilitation institutes and are currently working from home will have to mostly provide tele-rehabilitation services and undertake awareness campaigns regarding myths associated with COVID-19 and the subsequent management of complications because of the lockdown. Community workers would be required to undertake the work of awareness campaign, do field supervision, and those working in administrative positions also would be needed to mobilize human resources and help the policy makers when they are formulating policies and guidelines. They have a very important role to play because we are facing a situation wherein all of a sudden we might have a very large number of patients who are infected with COVID-19. Therefore, it is very important to have a number or second line of frontline workers ready as and whenever required. Those who are in academic roles have to ensure that the online training and teaching of occupational therapy students is still conducted, and they would also be helpful in the awareness campaigns regarding related to COVID-19. The target population on which these service providers will work also varies. Essential service providers would be working mostly with patients who are having acute COVID infections and also with patients who are being discharged after being treated for COVID-19. Those who are working from home will have to work mostly with caregivers of patients, children with special needs, general public who seeks teleconsultation for mental health issues and other neuromusculoskeletal problems, and those with elderly clients. Community workers will have to work with suspected patients under isolation and or quarantine. self-help groups and resident welfare associations. These are the groups who are working at the ground level as of now. So they have to keep on collaborating with them so that as and when required, they would mobilize adequate amount of human resources whenever the need is felt. Those who are performing academic roles with students pursuing occupational therapy courses, they have to ensure that their studies go unhindered and also provide strategies for teaching and training of students with special needs. The essential service providers working in hospital setups, the following areas of intervention should be considered depending upon individual needs and severity of the case and would comprise mostly of positioning for maximizing respiratory functioning, bed mobility, pulmonary rehabilitation, early mobilization, communication management to increase social participation, cognitive training and reorientation program. This is aimed to prevention of delirium and it is based upon a recent article that was published from Wuhan, China in JAMA Neurology, and it suggests that 40% of people with severe COVID-19 experience neurological complications including confusion, delirium, higher risk of stroke and other brain-related complications. Therefore, cognitive training and reorientation activities become primarily important for the management. Sensory stimulation activities, energy conservation activities, and activities for mental wellness to decrease anxiety and depression symptoms would be of key importance in the management of such clients. Those who are dealing with awareness campaign on myths and prevention should have a very good understanding of the risk factors. Today, we are flooded with lots of information from social media via Facebook or WhatsApp or other mediums, but it is very important to ensure that whatever facts we receive are cross verified, and for that it is important to keep yourself updated about the facts which are provided daily from WHO websites and Ministry of Health and Family Welfare official websites. It is important to regularly be in touch with local authorities for local updates regarding the guidelines that are being released time to time for infection control, for social distancing, and for all other activities that are permitted during the lockdown. We can also go for training from igot.gov.in, from openwho.org, and from World Federation of OT website. While we are doing any awareness campaign on the ground level, it is very important to ensure that we are maintaining social distancing at every time and we ourselves are staying home if our services are not required at the ground level itself. So most of the times these campaigns can be done through the online media, through telephonic medium. So it is not necessary for everyone to go to the actual site to provide these services. Also, it is very important to keep yourself safe. First, if you are safe, you will be preventing yourself from getting infected. And also, just in case, you might also be a carrier, so then you will not spread the infection. Therefore, it is important to use appropriate protective wears depending upon the kind of service that you are providing and in the setup where you are giving those services. People who are responsible for mobilizing and or amplifying human resources have to ensure that they are ready to help the local authorities to mobilize human resources, and they have a line of frontline workers ready who could be designated to help the existing line of workers as and when it is required. They have to keep on liaising with individual volunteers or volunteering organizations and local authorities, and also they will have to need there is need to stay in contact with local self-help groups and NGOs working in your area, because these are the groups who are taking care of the kind of interventions that are being provided in the areas of isolation or containment. So it is very important that each and everyone's role is defined and there is no unnecessary wastage of human resources. So a proper liaising with these agencies is of prime importance. People who are concerned, who are required to give teleconsultation to individuals need to provide accurate and reliable information about COVID-19, provide effective solutions to any query, curiosity, anxiety regarding COVID-19 symptomatology and related aspects, They should also provide effective psychosocial support and counseling services to clients and caregivers, provide effective ways of handling children with special needs, monitoring health of persons with disability and at extremes of ages, provide basic exercise and activity schedule to prevent deterioration of symptoms and minimize the deficits due to lack of active interventions due to lockdown, provide children with special needs and their caregivers effective ways to spend their time based on their interest, provide alternatives to alleviate boredom, maximize coping skills, and promote relaxation. Provide home program videos through video conferencing, including modified home exercise program and an activity schedule. Now, it is very important to promote physical activity in daily routine. Staying active is good for your body, mind, and spirit, and especially during such situations, it is of primary importance that we remain active. More physical activity will also ensure better sleep and good overall health. According to WHO, exercising at home will also help you maintain better heart health, muscle strength, flexibility, and better mental health. Doing physical activity together will help you ensure good health for yourself and your family members. Therefore, WHO recommends all healthy adults should do 30 minutes per day of physical activity, and children should be physically active for at least 1 hour per day while staying at home. WHO also recommends 150 minutes of moderate intensity or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity physical activity per week or a combination of both. It is very important to keep in mind these facts that whenever you are providing an activity schedule or an exercise programs to someone via tele-rehabilitation, it is important that you include physical activity as per these guidelines in those schedules. Many people are working from home during coronavirus outbreak, and they should regularly check their sitting posture while working from home. They should also take frequent breaks, stand up and do some stretching exercises regularly. Also, it is important to emphasize the considerations of proper workspace with good adherence to ergonomic principles. Individual, family, community, social and environmental adaptations. Now, adaptation is the key word for survival during such pandemic situations. We have to constantly adapt our lifestyles, our routines, and the way our service delivery is being provided. So technology can come to our help. Use of technology to connect people using social networking sites and medias like WhatsApp, Skype, and mobile would be of key importance. It is also important to use technology to either ensure reduced or restricted movement for work and essential service for those people who are requested to be under isolation or in quarantine. And also it is important to monitor that basic minimum mobility which is required for our fitness is maintained by normal people who are locked down within their houses. And for such things, the use of tracking devices and monitoring devices could be very helpful. Psychosocial adaptations to stress and displacement. As we have already discussed, there are a lot of stressors that are surrounding us during these times, and therefore it is very important to empathize with people around you, to provide them reassurance and support whenever they require, provide effective strategies and advice based on individuals' need. This is very important because we are having limited resources around us in such pandemic times. So whatever strategies and advices that we are providing to the client, it has to be based upon their needs and availability of the equipments around them and the environment in which they are living. So if all this are matched properly, there would be adherence to the protocol that is being given to them. Otherwise, compliance would be poor. Ensure the individual adheres to the guidelines issued by the government, and also it is important to help individuals to get the eligible benefits announced by government. There is a certain section in the society who might not be aware of the various social welfare schemes that the government has announced for their benefit during these pandemic situations. So as an occupational therapist, once you are in contact with them, you will also have to make them aware of such social welfare schemes, and whenever possible, help them to gain benefit from such schemes. Counseling services, including coping skills and stress management. These services are going to be the mainstay for occupational therapy practice during the COVID-19 pandemic and also for all the survivors of the pandemic. People are under lots of stress, their lifestyles have been interrupted, and they are under undue there is an increased sense of hopelessness and helplessness. So it is very important to teach them various relaxation techniques and keep them busy in various diversion activities, so that their mental well-being can be kept in a good state. It is important to teach them various meditation methods as per their uh, cultural beliefs, and also it is very important to teach them certain deep breathing exercise. Also, we are aware that COVID affects lung capacity, so breathing exercises could be very important in the management of patients with COVID-19 and also for those who have recovered after COVID-19 infection. It is important to instill a sense of positive thinking and a sense of hope in people around us, so that they feel reassured that everything is not going to end, and we would slowly come out of this desperate situation in which we have been forced suddenly, and there is going to be a positive time that is going to happen once all this comes to an end. Also, time to time, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has released guidelines related to yoga and various yogic asanas that could be practiced in within your house, and these could be told to the clients so that it can be used to recharge and rejuvenate their body and mind. A small message from President All India Occupational Therapists Association regarding COVID-19 and the efforts of All India Occupational Therapist Association in the management of it. Thank you.